you know, one thing is that, we've just restarted flights to China. Since the Galwan clashes, it's been a matter of weeks or months since we restarted flights to China. We're re-establishing and normalizing ties with China, and actions like these, really threaten to derail that normalization process, isn't it?
Indeed, I think this incident and Pema's incident indicate that China is actually balancing rather than normalizing relations with India after the 5 years of Galwan border clashes. We did see Prime Minister Modi's visit to Tianjin, and also the new Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs visiting China recently, Mr. Ghosh, and discussions related to the territorial dispute is ongoing. We did see those signals, including the October 21st, 2024 disengagement and patrolling in the border areas, if not de-escalation and de-induction process. Nevertheless, we see these incidents as well. As you mentioned rightly, the visa restrictions or those given visas were restricted in terms of their mobility, etc. But there are also other balancing acts that China is doing. For example, after Dr. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, visited China, China had bifurcated Aksai Chin into two counties. And they are probably beefing up with military, paramilitary, and other forces in the region. Secondly, they also initiated the dam construction project soon after the 22nd Special Representative meeting talks last December. And so that indicates that China is actually balancing, trying to balance the relations with India. We did see China's role in the Operation Sindoor as well by supplying arms, live information, C4ISR for the Pakistanis, and also psychological warfare that they conducted during the Operation Sindoor. So all these dots put together, there is the balancing that China exercises now instead of normalizing.
Okay, Dr. Shrikant Kondapalli, to put it simply, for all those watching this, so many people traveling to China for work, so many people from India traveling to China for vacations and business. Even this particular, vlogger that we're talking about, he was there. He has done business, which in China. He has worked with other professionals over there, and yet he was made to stay back for 15 hours without food. I mean, that's kind of a mental bullying of the first kind.
Well, it seems there must be some communication between the government of China and the customs officials in regard to cases like this. So there must be some coordination. It cannot happen simply like this, that a customs official without the knowledge of the central government is intervening and asking such questions. Normal questions are generally possible, and we see increasingly in the American airports such questions are being asked. But the 18 hours for Pema and for 15 hours for Anant, these are exceptional, and it means there is a policy in place in this regard. Just to put it in the context, India had issued 1 lakh visas to the Chinese, and the Chinese have issued 4 lakh visas to the Indians. Previously, more than 2 million Indians visited China, and such cases would only deter Indians going to China in the future.
Okay, but when the governments are looking at these developments, what do you think should be the response from India? Because this territorial claim of claiming the whole of Arunachal Pradesh is a position that India cannot be ignoring anymore.
Indeed, Krishna, you mentioned about the McMahon line. Chinese position in 1960 1960 is that if India drops the word McMahon and calls this as people's line, China was willing to accept that line and Arunachal Pradesh, actually south of McMahon line, as they used to call, and Chow Lai, the premier of the Chinese State Council, in 1960 had informed the Indian leaders that China is willing to recognize McMahon Line, provided India recognizes Aksai Chin as part of China. Mr. Natwar Singh, who was a third secretary in the Indian embassy in the 1950s, also recorded the conversation between the Chinese leader Mao Zedong and the visiting Vice President of India, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, saying that they are willing to extend friendship and that the McMahon line would be considered as the border between the two countries. So the current position, which originated in 2006, in an interview to an Indian media, the then Chinese ambassador Sun Yushi said that the area south of McMahon line,
Right.
the area that you call as Arunachal Pradesh, is illegal.
Okay.
And disputed. So since then, China had upped the ante to consider that this is a disputed territory.